On today's episode, we'll talk about using an eyepiece while on a remote head, forgetting the marks and framing the story, my left foot, Beetlejuice, and of course, finally getting to meet the real Daniel Day-Lewis after you've finished working with him on a film. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Camera, D-Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I am your host, Dave Comites, and I'm coming to you from Erie, London, where the fine folks here have allowed me to do some interviews in their green room, where I think the actors hang out when they're doing tests here, because I couldn't get into the quiet places in Buckingham Palace. I have a great operator here today. I'm very excited to talk to Des Whelan. Des has done a couple of things in his career. He has been nominated for the Banshees of Inisherin for the Operator of the Year for the BSC, and also for Fury as a nominee. He won that award for the movie Darkest Hour, great movie, and the GBCT Operator of the Year award, nominee for Dark Shadows, and also Captain America: The First Avenger. And just a couple of the movies that he's worked on, Beetlejuice, the one that just came out, I guess, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, In the Name of the Father, My Left Foot. The list just goes on and on, full of incredible movies. Thanks for being here, Des.
I'm very, very pleased to be here. Well, thank you very much for asking me to
It's
come.
great. You know why you're here, by the way.
I'm not sure.
Do you know Henry Turrell?
I do.
So yeah. I don't know if I called Henry or I happened to be talking to Henry, but I said, Henry, I'm going to London. I don't know if I told you, I'm actually, one of the big reasons I'm here was because yesterday I sat for two and a half hours with...
Not an invitation to Buckingham Palace.
No, unfortunately not, or else we'd be there. And I spoke with Kelvin Pike.
Oh, yeah.
Which was fantastic. But I said to Henry, I'm going to London. You've done a lot more work in Europe than I have. Who do I have to talk to? And he said, Des Whelan. You got to talk to Des. I said, really? And he said, yeah, he's the best operator in Europe. You have to talk to him. He's fantastic. And so I was so happy you got back in touch.
I recall I was sitting at home one dark February and the phone rang and it was Henry saying, what are you doing? I said, I'm sitting in my room watching the rain hit the window. He said, do you want to go to Brazil? I said, let me think about that. Okay.
That's the great part of this industry, too. Right?
Yeah. So he said, I'm doing a commercial for Nike or something, but I can't do these a couple of days, and there's some very difficult shots on the crane. Would you step in? I said, sure, absolutely. I mean, he's a sweetheart.
Henry's the best.
And so the next day I was on a flight to Rio, and I spent a week there shooting the Brazilian football team.
Oh, that's fantastic.
With Neymar. Yeah.
So that's the best. That's always the best when you're sitting. You get nothing in the future, and suddenly the phone rings and everything changes.
Isn't that the great thing
it's
about
the best.
So when we talk about retirement, and I was saying, what are you going to do when you retire? I said, I have no idea because I'm not thinking about it. But also, when you do something else, I said, well, it so defines me or defines us.
Yeah.
It's not like another job, and that example is a good argument for it. You can sit down and the phone can ring and you can be anywhere in the world with anybody earning very good money.
Doing the craziest thing you never...
Yeah, for something that you quite like to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there are no other avenues that are going to give me any of those kind of things.
How long have you been operating?
About 40 years.
So do you still have those things where you're behind the camera and you go, someone's paying me to do this?
I do. I whinge a lot. I complain a lot. I think it's probably part
we
of
all
it.
do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I do have that pinch moments sometimes.
It's kind of amazing, especially like if you got some close up of an amazing actor doing some incredible performance.
Well,
like,
we mentioned Banshees.
I'd pay. I was going to ask you about.
Well,
Ben
and I'm just doing a picture of Ben Davis. He was the DP on it, and
okay.
there's a scene on it where Barry McKeown is confessing his love for her, and the two-shot. And I was shooting Kerry Condon, who's a super actress, but Ben was shooting Barry.
Okay.
So, but I never saw his performance. You know, I mean, I could hear it. Obviously,
Yeah, sure.
We were
Because
cross.
you're facing the other.
Yeah, we were using light. It was one of those things, just, you know, sort of the cameras. Let's,
Yeah.
you know, go for it. So we get all the reactions in real time, and
Yep.
which I'm all in favor of. So when the premiere came, I was invited to the premiere, and you're watching the movie, and you're watching all the things that you normally watch, or whether they cut that shot, where's the big white, where, you know,
Yep.
I wouldn't have done it like that, and you know, no one listens to me anyway.
Why did they use that take? Yeah.
No one listens to me anyway. So when I saw Barry's performance, which I didn't see or witness, it was so mesmerizing. I just thought, isn't that just the great thing about being an operator? You're watching this thing in real time.
Yeah.
You're like your first line audience, and you know. So I always have witness this. Does that convince me? Do I buy this? Is there anything that can make this better?
Yeah.
Is there any suggestion that I can make to somebody to make it better?
Yeah.
I love that real time. You know, it's up there forever.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary job, and I've DP'd all this stuff, but I've less interest in that than operating. For me, it's really the story. It's the real storytelling job.
Well, you're in the trenches as
You're the conduit for information. Everyone has to ask you, your frame, what's there, what
Yep.
you're dressing, what not to dress, what's going to be
Absolutely.
applicable here, what's important, what's not important, what you don't see, don't worry about that, or you know.
Yeah.
You're the only person, despite the fact they have monitors, because they don't always know the camera move is going to be. So you're kind of in that position of conduit for information, and you know, telling people that's okay or not
Yeah.
okay.
It's fantastic. Well, how'd you get to where you are? How'd you start?
Yeah, well, I really wanted to be a stand engineer. I was a musician, not great. I mean, I was good, but not great. The guys I played with were really, really brilliant.
What do you play?
Guitar.
Okay.
So, you know, I knew I was never going to be Jimmy Page. But I thought I was also kind of into engineering and sound, and I loved the idea of all that. So I applied to all the studios, and at the time there was really very few recording studios in Dublin, but they were all here.
You mean to be a sound engineer
Yeah,
in the
all the big
okay.
studios were in
And you grew up in Ireland, you
Yeah,
said?
yeah, went to college there. So when I applied to all the studios, I went to school with a guy whose father owned a small film studio. He said, you know, film studios have recording studios, just to let you know.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I don't really want to do film, you know. But I applied to all the studios. And when I worked here for 6 months in the studio, which was great. I was 17, that's very young. And I got a response from Ardmore Studios in Bray, which is the studio in Dublin.
Okay.
Would I be interested in coming to work for them? And it meant I could be at home, so I did. And so I went there, but it wasn't busy. And so they put me in the animation studio, which I was kind of thinking, well, animation, what's that? You know? But I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people there. I fell in love with the animators. There were
What were you doing?
we did a lot of commercials. We did a lot of animation stuff. I worked.
But I mean, what did you actually do?
I was a rostrum cameraman. I was a trainee. I mean, I knew nothing. I've never been.
Yeah. But you were helping film the cells or something?
Yeah, you know, like
Okay.
you
Yeah.
photograph the cells.
Yeah.
And also, you got into animation, you got claymation. You have to animate those too.
Oh, really? Wow.
So you have to kind of see that in your head. But that was later on as I got more experience. But
That's kind of cool.
I became completely fascinated by how intelligent and how they solved problems and how they communicated with each other. They were always laughing and sketching, and it was so relaxed. And like there was Harry Hesse who worked for Disney. There was Jim Murakami who did the Snowman and Ninja Turtles. He was from Hawaii, American. A lot of American operators were in Ireland at the time. And I worked for a German animator, Gunter Wolf, who was very clever. So I was around these, very clever, inventive guys who could solve problems. And
Yeah.
we had our own lab. So we were egg cutting, we were
Wow.
printing, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And doing in-camera effects, like putting the moon in there, animation with live action, back projection, BiPAC stuff. We were doing all that kind of stuff before CG came in. We
Yeah.
were doing all those.
That's great.
So often we would be asked to go out to a movie set and, do hanging miniatures or painted glass stuff. And so I learned a lot. I was there for 4 years, and when I came out, I became a trainee loader, because to get in the industry, but I already knew so much about camera effects, and but I didn't know anybody in the movie business.
And trainee loader in Ireland or here?
In Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah. Okay.
And so I just kind of became a second AC and then a first AC, and then it got really busy there because we had the first tax break in Europe for film.
So everybody showed up.
And
yeah.
so America arrived, Hollywood arrived in Dublin.
When was this 90s?
90? Oh gosh, I can't remember. No, well, 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Late 80s. Yeah.
Our current president was the Minister for Trade, and he introduced the tax break, which brought in Jim Sheridan, Neil Jordan,
Sure.
people like that. My Left Foot came off the back of the tax break, in the Name of the Father, The Field, which I did.
Yeah.
So I moved up during a picture as a TV show. I was only 4 years as a first AC,
Wow.
but I was a chatty, lippy first AC coming with ideas, and the director said, "This guy's coming in with great ideas." The DP was operating, but he wasn't particularly, concentrating on that. So the director, and he didn't get on. So I was called up to the office, and I remember thinking on a Friday, "Can you come to the production office?" And I was kind of thinking, they're going to fire me.
What did I do?
It wasn't me.
We all had that. Yeah.
So I walked in, they were all sitting there, producer, the director, but they were smiling. I thought, God, these guys are cruel.
They're enjoying firing me.
They're going to enjoy firing me.
Yeah.
So I sat down, and I was only 27, 28 or something, so I was quite young. And quite nervous, and they sat me down and said, the director wants you to operate from Monday onwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, excuse me, what?
And had you ever operated before?
I mean, yeah.
A shot here and there, but
absolutely.
not anything substantial. Yeah.
I'd worked with some very great operators, as a camera assistant here in Britain.
And back then, this is for anybody listening. This is filmed, so you were sitting next to them.
Yeah, also British operators. They slightly differed from American operators. They had much more input here than you had in America.
Sure, yeah.
Because the director would have the operator. That was his guy.
Yep.
He blocked out all the shots, so they had a lot of say.
I love that system.
Yeah, and so I worked with some of the really great operators here. So it wasn't like I was never seen them work. So
sure.
I think I knew instinctively I wanted to be an operator. I knew that I'd be kind of good at it. I'm quite spatially aware.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
This is my job. I mean,
what movie was this that you got?
It was a thing called Troubles. It was a TV two part TV show.
And how did the DP take that?
Well, that was the thing. I mean, so it's okay for them to say you're going to operate, but I've got to go and work with this guy.
Yeah.
And if, but to be perfectly honest, he was very gracious.
He was okay.
Yeah, and he was great. In fact, I went on to do 2 other movies with him. He used me as
so maybe it was a relief if you realized it wasn't.
Well, I have to looking back, he was very gracious, and I didn't probably appreciate how gracious he was really, and how because he offered me 2 other pictures. It was Gabby Bernstein.
That's great.
So and then I got really busy in Ireland with the tax break, and then I was at a young family, had, 2 young children. And thinking, well, I get some money, and I was a busy first AC.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you make that decision to move on? And it wasn't like I made a decision myself. I would have been too probably apprehensive of making that move.
You would have stayed safe.
Probably when you got a mortgage and you got private school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not your life. But I just kept busy, and I guess I must have had something because I just kept asking busy. And then American, like Shelley Johnson came to Ireland, and I met Shelley. Yeah, really lovely guy, and a lot of other Philippe Rousselot. So a lot of them who were Europeans who based in America came to work in Europe.
Came back. Yeah.
So I don't know if and then My Left Foot was a big, even though it's not a very technically difficult movie, it got 5 Oscar nominations. We made it for
which movie?
My Left Foot.
Oh, My Left Foot. Sure.
It was technically it's like a TV movie, but it really made a mark in everybody.
Yeah.
Like it took people by storm.
How long had you been operating at that point?
It was my 3rd movie,
Your
I think.
3rd movie was My Left Foot. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you this anyway. Daniel Day-Lewis is, number one is, I guess, for lack of a better word, a method actor.
But he's very invested.
Yeah.
I mean, and he stays in character all the time. In fact, when I met Jim, my wife was in hospital giving birth to my son, and I met Jim, and I was,
Jim Sheridan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's, he didn't really understand film at all. He'd never made a film before. He's from theater.
Was My Left Foot his first film?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What an amazing filmmaker.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean,
and it's not that he's technically aware, he wasn't, and I don't think he'd mind me saying this, but he's incredibly great with story and character.
He's a storyteller. I mean,
no, totally. And also, he's great empathy with actors, and he gets involved in nuances. His notes of the actors are quite extraordinary, and he's great with script. But My Left Foot, I thought, because the Christie Brown, who the story's about, is well known in Ireland. Like he's a
is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So everyone, and he doesn't speak very well. He's in a wheelchair, and I'm thinking, how are you going to make this picture anyway interesting? Is it going to be a talking head?
Yeah.
And even a talking head is quite difficult to understand. Would there be subtitles or something?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was as he was talking, I was thinking, he's never made a picture before. The subject matter is like there's only
This doesn't have
$3
success
million.
written all
Yeah,
over
like I'm
it.
thinking.
And Daniel Day-Lewis wasn't someone that people
No,
knew.
well, he wasn't mentioned at the time. So I'm looking at my watch, thinking I better get out of here and go to the hospital. So he's talking, but I was kind of like listening.
I'm sorry, but you're saying you were interviewing for
He's interviewing me. Yes.
He's interviewing you.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I didn't like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was distracted by like, hey, who is this guy? What is the story? Like.
And there's a baby on the way.
Yeah. And so I said, listen, Jim, I have to go. My wife's, he said, oh my God, Greg, go. So I left and I went to the hospital. I'll send you the script. And I said, yeah. He said, in fact, take it with you. So I said, okay. That was like, there was too much of commitment to giving me the script. So I took the script and I go to the hospital. My wife's in the labor ward. I'm sitting there and they're saying, it'll be a while. So I read the script. And it was just so incredible.
Did he write the script?
Yeah, him and another guy.
Yeah.
He's scriptwriter. But it's from a book.
Yeah.
It's from Christy Brown's own book. It's
Okay.
his own
His autobiography. Yeah.
So, but it's obviously the script's different, but it was just so tender and, dad and mum and kids and, adversity, success of adversity. And, in today's world, that inclusion of that is extraordinary. And it was so moving. And my own son being born.
I was going to say, you're in a mindset probably
Yeah,
too,
totally. And I was, thinking, what if my child is born with some thing?
Oh, wow.
I was knitting on it. He wasn't. He was perfect.
Yeah, but I could see going there.
Yeah, and I was thinking,
yeah.
would he have in this country? Would he have the opportunity to express himself or
Yeah.
the ability to blossom and create? So anyway, I was so moved by the script. I didn't care, what the budget was. I didn't care if it was never going to be seen. I just wanted to be part of.
Just
that
want to tell
story.
that story. That's beautiful.
And then it gets 5 Oscar nominations. And,
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But so as a new camera operator who doesn't have 40 years of experience at that point,
Yeah.
Was it a surprise to go in and work with someone like Daniel Day-Lewis, who is the character?
Well, that was the thing. So I was already apprehensive about this. Who's playing? Because Christy Brown was 5'3", and he was severely handicapped physically, and he was in a wheelchair, and I said, well, who's going to play? He's red hair, and he was. Things. Who's going to play Christy Brown? And I assumed it would be an Irish actor because he has a very strong Dublin accent, and I said, oh no, we're getting Daniel Day-Lewis. Okay, Daniel Lewis. Is that English guy that did my bit of laundrette? He's 6'4", handsome, public school English guy. They said, yeah. I'm thinking,
this isn't going to work.
Really? And so we did some read-throughs, and Daniel is 6'4". He's a very lovely guy, and 6'4", very handsome, very articulate, educated, and then he just read the script. I thought, great, okay. And then we came to shoot, and I can honestly say I never met Daniel Day-Lewis. I only ever met Christy Brown because he stayed in character all day. I had to spoon feed him.
Really?
He got out of the taxi and put him into his wheelchair.
But could you? Well, I was going to say, could you work with him as a camera operator but he's not really hitting marks either because of his physics. People are putting him places. So you're really talking to other people, probably.
Yeah, and so in a wheelchair, he wasn't that mobile anyway.
Yeah.
But I remember when we finished, we wrapped, and we were in the studio bar, and I got tapped on the shoulder, and there's this very tall, handsome guy.
After you wrapped the film completely.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking, oh, there was Daniel again.
He's back.
But I'd never seen him standing up. I'd never seen him in his cities. I never heard his voice.
Wow.
It was like the most weirdest thing.
That's incredible.
That's
incredible.
So then I just met Daniel Day-Lewis after we finished making the film.
Wow.
So I mean, honestly, he was in character all the time.
And was it astonishing to watch someone give that kind of a performance? Because
being a young operator and watching him perform, watching him do his thing, all the gamut of emotions he went through, looking through the camera. And it was before I think we had camera, video assist, but that was it.
Yeah.
You're in this position of watching this thing. A lot of it was very moving.
I can't imagine. I mean, it's what a treat.
Yeah. And so I always think that trying to keep away from it sometimes can be difficult, but sometimes you just put it into a performance and you forget to pan.
It's funny because those are the best performances, and you've just blown it because you've
Yeah, totally. Because you suddenly you become an observer, like, and you're watching this thing, and you're thinking, God, this is really hitting some notes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very like that, and it's really impressive.
That's
to be
incredible.
around him,
I mean, the other part of it that I keep thinking of is if I show up now and I'm working with Gary Oldman, I'm expecting an unbelievable performance. But if you work with Daniel Day-Lewis, then it was just my beautiful.
I had a similar thing with Gary Oldman on Darkest Hour. He arrived as Churchill.
Course. Yeah, that's right.
Like he spent 3 hours of makeup, and I couldn't see Gary Oldman.
Well, Gary Oldman is one of those people. Daniel Day-Lewis, not quite so much. I don't think I have any idea who Gary Oldman actually is.
Well, because I don't think I ever saw him. We used to call him, Mr. Churchill.
Yeah,
and he
was always in character.
Yeah, always in character. And
what a phenomenal performance again!
No, fantastic,
incredible. It was an amazing movie.
Yeah, and so I don't even recall ever seeing him.
Yeah.
Out of character, really.
So, because we're sort of on that subject, I'll ask you this about Gary Oldman. But are you able to talk to him, to someone who's in character like that, still technically about camera stuff? He's open.
Well, he's Daniel Lewis, gets involved, so he kind of. I didn't give him too many instructions because.
Sure. Yeah.
You got an emotional scene. There's one scene in The Name of the Father, which we might get to talk about.
I love that movie.
Yeah, so Gary's technically brilliant. Like he's been around. And he works with you because it's, as I say to actors, I'm not here to make you look. I'm not suggesting something that's going to make you look less interesting, or it's all for your benefit. If I have a suggestion, you can dismiss it. I don't care, but I'm never going to give you something that's going to make you look bad or. We can talk about that, but I'm on your side.
Yeah, that's the key, right?
Yeah, and so you have to get a relationship. And it's interesting. We were talking about this the other day about in the first week of something, because we use remote heads a lot, which I love. You can often not have that relationship with them because you're remote. They don't see you.
You're so far away.
Yeah, and so there's a camera there, and maybe just one grip, and they're out there on their own. Even the director's somewhere else at the DP. I always try to make a point of in the first week not using a remote head. So I get to have a relationship with them, so they know.
It's funny you say that because and it all depends on time, which everything is time now, which sort of drives me nuts. But there are those shots where you'll be on a remote head, and then well, let's just leave it on that. And if I can, I will usually try to get on a head. Mainly, first of all, I just like to be with the camera. That's my personal thing. Yeah. But the other thing is, I sort of feel badly for actors that they're out there and there's just this 6 feet of machine and some guy behind it, and you're not there.
Yeah, and another thing I mentioned this because I do a lot of work with Tim Burton. I've done 7 pictures with over 20 years.
7. Oh, I didn't realize that many.
He stands beside you with his monitor.
Oh, how wonderful.
And I remember saying to a director, we were talking about it, and I was saying they were in a tent somewhere, and the actors looking around, and he said, "Where's the director?" And so I said, "I don't know." It's like Tom Marvin, the director, is Simon, the actors, wants you to
there's something
to ask you. Yeah. So they come out, and suddenly they stay here. And you see an entirely different performance when the director is standing beside camera, because the actor is trying to perform for the person who hired him.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's his audience. And the camera, while it's millions of people, they didn't hire him to do something. The director did. So he's trying to, I'm not saying big actors, but even, well-known names, they want to seek that. Is this what you want?
Well, it's about connection also.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, don't we have a relationship? Why are you 40 feet away in a tent somewhere?
Well, and the thing that makes me think of is you do some big shot or even small shot, doesn't make a difference, with the actor doing some incredible performance, and then you hear cut. And then there's nothing, and both of you are sort of sitting there looking at each other.
You're like, so you see the football?
Should we move on, or should we not move on, or do they want something different? But do you sometimes feel that part of your role is being that audience? Since you're
it's not that I like to be. It's like I do get that actors need some sort of feedback, and they're like even like it's not a well, I like to say, is that okay?
Yeah.
Did it hit my mark or something? Saying, no, that was great.
Yeah.
So why? And there's no feedback. So they're kind of, And you're thinking, they're just looking at something technical.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
and you can see they're anxious about something and thinking, well, you should come out here and talk to the actor because
Yep.
this is your actor. He's anxious. You need to deal with that. And
Yeah.
I think young directors are much more guilty of that than say the old timers.
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Because they understand those things. And, I have to say, I notice, as probably most operators do, that relationship between young directors who don't understand that they are the captain of this ship, and everybody on board it is waiting, wants to do what they want to do. They want guidance. They want to do their job really well. They want to be recognized for doing a job well. Also, if they make a mistake, they need to whatever. But if you're not getting that feedback, you don't know what makes them happy, or if anything at all.
Yeah.
And that goes true for actors as well. And so you're thinking, oh no, that was great. That's good. I thought, maybe when you're turn slower. You don't want to give them too many kind of directions, because in the absence of giving them, so that was great. Maybe just turn a little slower, or maybe turn your head before you turn your body, or something, or maybe I don't see both your eyes or something.
Now, have you been in that situation where you say turn slower, or maybe you could just face the window here, or something like that?
Yeah.
And they do it on the next take, cut, and the director comes in and goes, "Why are you facing the window?" And they go, "Well, he told me to."
I've had that too, but I'm quite prepared to take the slap for that, because if an actor asks you, I have a relationship with this, whether I like it or not,
go silent,
whether the director likes it or not,
Sure.
where I'm still talking to him or her, and they're saying, "Was that okay for camera?" It's very specific when they say for camera.
I like that.
So, and I say, it's great. I mean, if you turn maybe slower or something, or come more to the left,
whatever it is. Yeah.
And if I do get a slap, then that's fine, because but if it's a reasonable thing, that's fine. Oh, maybe let's not do that, or that's a great idea, Des, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's the way it should go. I mean, so you find out pretty quickly how much you're invited to get involved.
And I think that's the first couple of days, right? You're sort of listening and you're pushing and you're pulling.
Yeah, but I tend to do that the first week. I tend to kind of just find out where,
Is there something specific that you do? Do you know? Do you recognize that you, as far as like maybe occasionally throwing something out there to see how it's taken?
Like we did some tests yesterday, and I'll say something, and it's just instinctive. It's not like that. Here's an idea we have to do. It's like, here you go. So fine. You don't like it, that's okay.
But I guess actually, maybe let me ask you differently. I think it's instinctive to do it. It makes sense. But are you then listening to what the response is to sort of determine, okay, that's going to be welcome here, or that's not going to be welcome here? Because
well, I think probably when I was first AC, you'd be watching something and thinking, what if we did this and they did that? This would be so much better. Tell the story, and you're watching on take 3, thinking, no, they really should be, and you're kind of biting at the bit to suggest it, and
you want to say it,
and then you're in the car on the way and thinking, I should have really said something, or
it's always the car ride
so
home,
it's,
right?
it's all good then, because it's it's academic, and it's there's no purpose.
Yeah.
So I will take the chance,
Yeah.
and I've been told to be quiet, and not.
Well, you've also been
but I've
doing
also
this
been
a
told the
while,
opposite. Like, that's great, and that's how probably I got my job as an operator, because suggesting something, you think, oh, that's really good. This guy really has a thing for this, or that's a great suggestion, a simple thing, and often on the first week with the new director, it'll be something that's really obvious I'll come up with, rather than kind of one is as good as the other and it's just an opinion about something.
Yep.
If something I know is going to make a very noticeable instant difference to something, that's easy to do, rather than I won't complicate the shot. If I can do something that's really simple, those kind of things I'll look for, and they go, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
But if you get a director who's threatened by your something, there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing. I can't keep changing my personality all the time for every person that comes. As much as I'd like to do that, as much as you have to do that, there are certain limits to the way. If you're totally chained to the floor, and there's nothing you can do, then you're just functioning, and they're
What
not
do you mean
getting
by chained to the floor?
not allowed to participate. Not allowed,
I see. Yeah. They don't want your input. It's like you should pan
and you're watching
be quiet.
something fall apart, or the shot they want to do is, while it's good, it's going to take a very long time, and and there are better ways to do this perhaps. And and if you don't say something, are you being professional or unprofessional?
It's really interesting question too, because the thing is,
And my profession by sticking my neck out saying,
if you can see the answer to the problem, but you're not allowed to say it,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
if you're doing the right thing or wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've been there where it's like you're watching the train go down the tracks and you know it's in trouble.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to listen to you going, if we just did this.
And then you say, why are they being, obtuse about this?
Yeah.
Because then it's not like because I don't care if you said.
It's not about being right or being wrong.
Yeah,
it's about telling the story.
Yeah, I'll do 2 more pictures this year. I mean, and and so if you don't like this, that's fine if you don't like it. If you don't like it for the wrong reasons, then that relationship's kind of difficult to kind of get on with. And then you have to work. You're trying to get back on track, maybe where you say, it's not because my idea is better than yours. It's your idea.
Yeah.
I don't get an asterisk. This is the operator's idea. I just get a salary and I get a credit somewhere.
And on the flip side, by the way, if you come up with the idea and everybody loves it upstairs with the producers, it's now their idea. It's no
completely.
longer your idea. Yeah, I think Des said something. I don't remember what it was, but I came
Who's
up with this. Exactly. I don't remember who the operator.
We have an operator.
Yeah, but that's part of the gig, right?
Yeah, no, totally. And I think once you try and take your ego out of it, and I keep saying to me, like my realize, I don't care.
Yeah.
Here's the suggestion. Okay, let's move on. Fine.
Yeah.
And they go back and they go, God, we should have done that way, perhaps.
Yeah.
There's a great line. I remember a young cameraman was talking to the director. He said, if you're not careful, I'll give you the shot you're asking for.
That's great. Well, I work a lot with, not as much anymore because it just doesn't happen, but there's a director in LA named Tommy Shalami who created The West Wing and a bunch of other things.
Okay.
I've worked with him for years, and he's great because he will absolutely know what he wants, and he'll go, okay, we're going to come over here, we're going to do this, and then we're going to come around and find him here and whatever, and then he'll look at me or sometimes someone else or whatever, and he'll go, but you have a better idea. And, well, no, I don't know. Well, no, what are you thinking? And then I'll tell him, and the funny thing is, I'll say, well, I really think we should do this. And then sometimes he'll say yes, and sometimes because he doesn't care. His thing is, if the craft service guy has a better idea, that's what I want to do. Yeah. But then sometimes he'll go, no, we're sticking with my idea. And I know him well enough that I'll say, listen, if you don't want to go with the better idea, that's fine.
I'll execute that idea perfectly well and elegantly. But it's like it is the essence of creativity. Even if like I'm on the dolly and the loader spring comes, he says, maybe he should come in from the other side of the camera. It's a really great idea.
Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah, I said, Tommy here, the craft service guy just said something. It's a great idea. We should do that, or whatever it might be.
No, it's exactly. Right.
I don't care. Yeah. Like it just makes sense. The excitement of doing something and improving it all the time is really interesting. And those who are afraid of that are. I'm always thinking I have to tread carefully here because I'm not dealing I'm dealing with an ego now rather than
I was just going to say there's a lot of ego though.
Yeah, and so working with Tim Burton, he's so open to something, and he'll like you have a storyboard, but he doesn't really, we're not locked to it. There might be a shot in it because I worked with animators, and they don't draw coverage, they don't draw over shoulder single stuff. They like comic.
They draw the scene.
Yeah, they one picture, and that picture will tell us 90% of the story than every single shot.
Does he have storyboards for everything?
He does, but he doesn't really kind of bandy them around,
Yeah.
There'll be more concept boards than storyboards.
Okay.
And he'll say, I think that, I like the idea of them, and he has this frame in his mind for the last 5 months before. So he's drawn this, maybe thought about it, and so that shot is important to him, So you're thinking, well, that's probably like shot 7 down there. So you work your way towards that shot.
Yeah.
And then you work your way out the other side.
Yeah.
And once he sees the shot, you can see him. Oh yeah,
that's what's been in my mind.
It's now materialized, this thing that I've dreamt about for all.
Oh, and that must be a great thing as an operator to like see that moment.
But it's also be able to see that that's the shot that he's talking about and referring to. Like we've gone through maybe 6 or 7 DPs, and I said to him, listen to the shot that he's actually talking about. You don't have to start with that, but that's the shot that represents the scene for him for the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
so it's not just a frivolous thing. It is the thing that he hangs on to. This association with imagery.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, and I think that's true of everybody. And the language of film is important, and how what language you settle on. DPs that are good understand that, and if you have a young director and you and the DP in the same place, that's a very nice feeling that you're both sailing along, understanding the language that you're going to use.
Sure.
And then asking the director to kind of get on board if they can't see it, that you're trying to bring them slowly into that kind of world where you're that kind of language that you use.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. But if you're dealing with a personality who just wants to, be right all the time, and I think that's thankfully I haven't had that an enormous amount because it's not something that what's it about then? It's not like.
It's not about the best way to
you
tell
you've
that
won that
story. It's
argument,
about-
but on the screen, it's you've lost.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I don't understand the logic of that. And
was Tim Burton like that from when you started, or did
I
that
did
grow
Charlie
over
Chocolate
time?
Factory with Philippe Rousselot, who I love, and that's quite technical because Oompa Loompas and stuff, and we had all these
Sure.
perspective things to do, and we didn't move the camera a lot, which is interesting. Tim would have static frames, and I was always trying to, introduce something, but and I was slightly in awe of him because of who he was. He's so bright.
Yeah.
He's mouthing all the words of the script, and he gets into it, and then when he finishes it, he dismisses it and goes on to the next one. He doesn't even he's like
Really?
yeah. He's a really creative mind. He's always he's doing an animation film at the same time as he's doing live action. He's the most attended living artist ever.
Wow.
His exhibitions are attended by more people than any other artist.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
But you mean
His
drawings?
drawings,
or
yeah.
paintings, or,
His thing in Paris was like he's always stirring lots of pots or spinning lots of plates.
He's basically an artist who happens to make films.
That's exactly
what
what it is. So, and he understands the creative process. So,
Yeah.
understanding that, he allows people to, he leaves room for, serendipity, or leaves room for.
It's a collaborative effort.
Yeah, kind of like you might say, oh, what did you say? Yeah. Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Well, yeah. Or he might say, I said, what do you think? I said, well, maybe why don't we do a wide shot and let them just run at it and get everyone used to the thing. Oh yeah, and then maybe we'll just do some sort of stay with her coming in the room.
Yeah.
And he walks. This is what we're going to do. And he'll say almost word for word.
What you just said.
Yeah, but that, I don't care.
No, that's
like
exactly.
I just love the process and the relationships that you can build, and coming to work every day excited is a thrill for me.
But like what you alluded to before, but that's someone who's confident that they know what they're doing, and that they don't have all the answers, and that like you said, it's a great word. Serendipity is a huge part of this, right?
But also I think the director, we've lost that kind of auteur director who.
Well, Burton would definitely be one.
Yeah, like John Borman, Robert Zemeckis, these guys. I mean, they're authors. They know how to tell the story.
Yeah.
They know the tools that they use to tell that story. They know how to manipulate them, what they can and get away with. They know the value of something over something else. I think we're losing that thing.
Yeah.
And actors, they know how to talk to actors. They know how to talk to us as operators. They know lighting. They know production design. They know about editing.
Yeah.
Like they're the go-to person to, if there's some kind of fork in the road, they know exactly where to bring people back on the track of the story.
Yeah. I think they're out there, but they're less and less. Do you know the show? I don't know what's over here and what's not. There's a show called The Bear from the United States. It's a half an hour.
Is that
show.
the cooking one?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my son's a Michelin-star chef, so I was forced to watch it.
Yeah, so you're forced to watch
it.
And
in fact, he looks very like my son.
Oh, there you go. Okay. A friend of mine is the operator on that, so I'm very well aware of the show. But Chris Storer, who created the show and directed a lot of them. I don't know how much he directs anymore, but there's certain things where there was one sequence where the lead character is in Al-Anon for the first time, talking about his brother who's an alcoholic, and he has this incredible soliloquy. And it's one shot.
Wow.
There's one other shot that starts it, and then it goes into a close-up of him. And I called my buddy Gary up, and I go, "Let me guess, that was the only thing you did?" And he goes, "Yep." We did it. He said we might have done it 3 times, and Chris said, "We got it." And Gary was like, "We need anything else?" I go, "No,"
but isn't
it's
that
there?
Yeah, like I remember we were doing
refreshing.
Big Eyes, and we had this scene with. I can't remember. We were shooting in Canada, and it was a scene between husband and wife about something. And I won't go into details, but it was a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Bruno's, he's such a beautiful lighter, and it was so beautiful. And they moved through the shot, and I just thought, if we do curvage of this, we lose it. There's elegance about it all, and kind of, and it just says everything. And Tim was pacing him down, and I said, Tim, would you ever consider just doing
That's
it?
it.
And he goes, play it back. And I can see that it's not just like he's trying to get out of something and he's trying to, he's just so confident that he goes,
It's all there. So you obviously basically work as an A camera operator. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So let's say I'm coming in as a B camera operator and I'm a younger camera operator. What are you looking for in a B camera operator?
Well, I remember when I was camera assistant, other operators come in and there'd be an awful lot of rivalry. The A camera wouldn't even tell them what the story was, and they'd be floundering around trying to, and in the kind of mix of conversations and stuff, the director assumes that the other camera operator knows the story, because they assume everyone knows, because they've read the script 500 times, so they assume by some miracle osmosis that everyone else understands all this stuff, which they don't. And in fact, a lot of crew members don't even get the script anymore, which I find absolutely mind-boggling.
Yep, I'm with you.
Like a grip to me is like another camera operator. So when they're reading the script, they know what the story's about. And like if they have to make a decision, you go with him or her, whatever it is. So, but if they don't even know what the story is, they don't stand a chance. They're just functioning at some linear.
Going back to Tommy Shalami, who I mentioned, he said to me a while ago, I don't want 100 technicians. I want 100 storytellers.
Yeah,
and if you don't know the script, you can't.
What a great line! Yeah. What a great line! I mean, you can get probably you can get out of control where people have no filter and they just keep.
And hopefully you're all telling the same story.
Yeah, and they're all coming up with millions of suggestions, and it's just like, oh, I need to draw a boundary here. I understand that too. But as B camera operator, the first thing I would be telling him is the story. Yeah. This guy is the perpetrator. So
if someone comes in for a day, you'll basically take them aside and just so you know, we're shooting today. Yeah. This guy did this.
I mean, I don't want them. I don't want them floundering around and making us all look bad. Mm-hmm. B camera tends to be different because you tend to get them early. Here it's like usually B camera is Steadicam as well. I don't do Steadicam, but so, and they're if they don't know the story very well or they've forgotten it, I'll remind them of it because I read the script about 100 times maybe. So hopefully I'll keep up with all the beats and stuff. So if you're a storyteller, you have to know what the story is.
Sure.
It's kind of. Sounds very obvious, but most people don't know.
It does sound obvious, but I don't know that everybody
appreciates that. So, and B camera sometimes can tend to abdicate that responsibility because they're not going to be asked to do something, and they won't be as invested in the story maybe as they should be. Mm-hmm. So I always say to young operators, read the script. Yeah. I don't mean just once to get the story, like what happens. No. I mean, when's the first time we see this guy? What's this about? Where are the beats? Where the possible plot turns are? And listen to the director's notes when he's talking to the actors and watch. And even if you're not working on B camera, watch the A camera so you can. If you have to jump in coverage, you'll know where to be and where
sure.
So get involved. And also, it'll make your day more interesting rather than just sitting in a box, whatever you're doing with your iPhone and stuff, I think it's been one of the big disasters in this iPhones. Yeah, absolutely. It's taking people out of the context of it all. And
100%.
They're just pulled off the shelf and asked to perform and they're not switched on.
Yep.
We can't afford to do that.
Well, and there's also that thing of, you'd be doing a shot and you cut and you think, well, everybody else saw the elephant walk through the back of the frame, right? I mean, there's no way they didn't see that, so we're going to go again. And then you realize like 3 people were on their iPhone back there.
No, absolutely.
And you go, there was an elephant in the back. There was? No, we got to go again.
And there is since we went to digital, as I'm sure you can testify to, at the end of every take, we'll be like, how's that for camera? And if you had an issue, you'd say, well, we had our boom shadow or something, had a bump in the track. Okay, let's go again.
In the past, you're saying?
Yeah. So there was always that kind of reference. And how's that for sound? We had a
check with all the departments.
Whatever it might be. Or the idiot might say, we had a guy with a watch on there or something. Okay, let's go again. And there's very little argument about it. There's not these long discussions, which, I was thinking, just do another take rather than.
We could have done 3 takes.
Yeah, but having this post-mortem, it doesn't make any sense. Cause
was it a big bump? Was it a small bump?
Yeah,
it was a bump.
And that's the other thing I find, people watch these small monitors, and if you come from our kind of thing, that bump, that's on a big screen, you're going to see that,
as opposed to a teeny little one there looking.
Because you can't see those.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Or something, or it's too much shake or something, and say, you think you should go, oh no, I didn't see it. We'll play that back.
Yeah.
And you think, well, no, you won't see it there. You won't get. It's not like being a musician. It's like, you play a note on the guitar. Perfect. You play a bum note. It's still you plug into an amplifier. It amplifies everything, all the good bits, but also all the bad bits. So everything is amplified. And something that's very elegant will look more elegant, but a bump or something that's wrong or dodgy, that looks, exaggerated. So you're kind of watching that. I think people who didn't watch dailies on the big screen or, didn't have, tend to let that go by.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Do you miss watching dailies?
I do massively, yeah. I do.
It's a lot. It was a
the
great
cohesion of it. I miss that.
Yeah, well, there was something about the camaraderie of it.
That's what I mean. Like you'd go into the theater and the director would be there or not, with your DPs there, with the other operators and all the focus pullers, and you'd sit down and have coffee or drink or whatever and watch it in the theater on the medium that you're hoping that it's going to be viewed by everybody else.
The way it's finally going to be, right?
Yeah. So I remember when we did Die Hard with John Moore, who's an Irish director who did Behind Enemy Lines, and a great director. But he wanted to do handheld and kind of shaky thing, and we were okay. He said, "I want to do it all handheld, right? Okay." He said, "But I don't want it too shaky."
Shaky, but not too.
So like from 1 to 10, let's say we can dial it in. Right? Yeah. I want it to be like a 4. Okay, so you get an example of what that might look like. And we said, well, let's do that, but let's watch dailies for the first week on the big screen.
Yeah.
And so you watch your little monitor, and I'll do the thing, the cameras and the bungee or whatever it was. And he said, okay. And so the first few days we were shooting in Hungary, we got a theater, we put it up. John said, you're right, it's just too much.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much, and it's arbitrary and it's gratuitous, and I don't know what it's like. He's ordering a pizza, and we're trying to,
why is this happening?
Yeah, like why it's not exciting. So it doesn't have to be. Aren't there quiet moments that you don't always go to 11 all the time. So it was an interesting thing that so we sort of dialed it all down.
Yeah,
and it didn't look as on the small screen, didn't look as it would do. It didn't have the impact it did on the big screen. But on the big screen, it has that impact.
Yeah.
But so you're missing all of that things too. And also little details of someone's performance or on the big screen is like a gesture or something. Or they might do something that's like, just pulls you out of it straight away for a second. You know? And you might see it as an operator, think, oh, that was a bit modern. If you're doing a period piece, they do something that's quite a modern gesture.
Yeah.
You think, whoa.
That didn't work.
Yeah, and it's not. It's just an automatic reflex or something. And everyone goes, "Oh, go, we're moving on." You go, that looks a bit, like sitting like this or something, or oh yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the words that I use, I don't know if this is an American thing or something, but I don't even know where I got it from. Because I've talked to younger operators and they're like, how do you know when something's not working? And I always say, if something bumps. That's my word. It's just if something takes me out of it.
Yeah.
And it's because I do Steadicam, and like people come up and go, hey, did that cross in the doorway? Was that a problem or whatever? And if I can't remember it, then it means it was fine.
Yeah.
But if it bumps, I don't even care. We just get rid of that. I don't even know why it was, but that's a problem.
Or even something in the background. Someone might do something in the background that pops you out of it.
Or like some background artist doing some huge gesture at a table or something like that makes your eye go there. It's well, that's not what you want.
It's funny because actually with Shelley, I remember I love shooting off the Technicolor. I think it's the most incredible.
Off the Technicolor?
Whatever telescopic crane we're using, but not using the particular brand. But I love its versatility. You can make it up. You go along with. You got 2 other operators so there's 3 operators moving this camera. You're not moving the crane. You're moving the camera.
Yep.
Watch the camera in relation to everything. Don't worry about the marks. Just get that relationship. Get the map box and find something, and you'll be in the right ballpark. It's knowing that. What you can get away with, what you can't get away with, and seeing something in the background that you can see. So on the screen, if you're operating on a remote head, you're watching on whatever size monitor, you've got an awful lot of visual information around that. Distractions, people turning on a light, moving, talking, whatever they might do, and that's fine. But so when we came digital, I wondered, why can't I have an eyepiece at my desk? could I have an eyepiece on my desk? I mean, can't have an eyepiece to look through rather than a
So you'd be
monitor.
on the wheels, but with an eyepiece.
Yeah. And so 20 years ago,
Isn't that
Panavision made me an eyepiece from an old Genesis at the time and the frame.
Really?
Yeah. So now I'm looking through the eyepiece. No one talks to me. No one.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah.
No one's over your shoulder pointing at the monitor while, like some people put their finger on the monitor.
Oh,
I'm out of it like in a second. I got a pan right now,
exactly.
and he's pointing at something.
Yeah.
I think, with the greatest respect, I get really wrapped up in this. If you tap on the monitor and I don't look at that, and the actor's gone out of shot.
Or like if you got the DP on one side and the gaffer on the other side, and DP's like gesturing the
talking to
lights
you.
or whatever.
Like
trying to do my job.
Yeah. So the eyepiece, you can't see them, so they don't bother.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I have it all the time. I use it
really
all the
fascinating.
time. And the other great thing is on tracking shots, you might want to flag off the monitor in one place. You turn a corner, the sun comes through the flag. Flags
sure.
are falling around
You
the
don't have
place.
to bother with
Just
that.
put the eyepiece on.
Oh, that's it.
No
So
flag. I have a monitor there, so general reference,
Of
and everyone can refer to it all. But the eyepiece I use all the time.
So it's just on a little spud, and then you can just adjust it to however.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I love the geared head. I still use a geared head. But the point I'm making is that when you see something in the background that I just on foot of what you're saying, like a bump or something that catches your eye or something that's takes you
out of the story.
Yeah, takes wherever that might be.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's enough for me to kind of flag that.
Yeah.
Well, that took me away. If it took me away, it might take someone else away.
Exactly.
And so directors are usually looking at performance. DPs are looking at something. We're all looking at something. The artwork is looking at his set.
But you're looking at the overall.
They're looking at the net and the hair.
Exactly.
But you're looking at something completely different as an operator.
Yep.
You're kind of, am I convinced about this? Is this elegant? Is it nice? Is it a nice camera move, which is fine? And then you're thinking, whoa, that guy wearing that something, he's just turned at the wrong time.
Yep. Yeah.
And you notice it, and then you say, do you want to just get back? Does that bother you? And they go, no. Oh, yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
That's those kind of bumps you're talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it just makes me think of, I want to be looking at Daniel Day-Lewis, but the guy with the bicycle in the background, my eye keeps going there.
Or he looked at camera slightly, but I find that easy to tell looking at the eyepiece rather than a monitor.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if you're constantly using a monitor, I think you more than likely will miss those bumps.
Because you're not as close to it.
There's so much visual information around you.
Yeah.
Like you're watching your hands, you're watching this.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
People standing there, someone moves somewhere.
Yeah.
You might get distracted, but for the first fleet of a second, and then and that could happen when the bump happens. But when you're looking through the eyepiece, you're in that little postage stamp world.
Sure.
And you're watching all four corners.
Well, it's your entire world. Yeah. There's nothing else.
As you get more experience, you're able to see the actor in your frame, keep them in, watch the background at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can see the timing of that's good, or the car's too late or too soon.
Yeah.
You're able to keep the actor there because he's performing, that's fine, but I'm actually watching in the background.
But I'm keeping an eye on the background.
Yeah, I don't need to watch performance. Someone else is doing that. I don't have to do lighting. Someone else is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the frame, and whatever, especially anamorphic stuff like that. So I find that has helped me enormously, that I don't have to.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So since you're talking about telescoping cranes, when you're setting that up, I mean, assuming you're with, you've gone somewhere else and you're not with your normal crew, you're with new people.
That can be complicated.
How do you talk there? You got one person on the pickle, you got one person on the bucket. Yeah. How do you talk them through?
Well, Shelley asked me to do Expendables 2 in Sofia in Bulgaria.
Okay.
And
local crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Local crew. So. I don't think they'd ever seen a Technocrane, and Shelley loves the Technocrane, and in fact, I learned so much from Shelley. He's quite brilliant with it. He's
a great cinematographer.
He's a great cinematographer. Yeah. He's technically brilliant, and he's creative as well. But he's also quite spatial awareness about things, which and I really like working with them. And he said, "Do you want to go down and just check these guys out with the Technocrane?"
Yeah.
I said, "Sure." So I went down there, simple thing, just use a piece of track, keep it level and just swing the arm in a straight line, parallel line to some guy walking on the sidewalk.
Just basically as a test to see.
Yeah, see how they, do they get the concept?
Yeah.
Once they get the concept, can they execute the concept?
Yeah.
And then also just dropping straight down, keeping the camera straight line.
Mm-hmm.
I know they can plane it in now, and they can dial those things in now. But they didn't, first of all, they didn't even get the concept of it all. They just saw the Technocrane as a crane for height or something like that. So I see it as a dolly.
Yeah.
And so we did this, and I was trying to, and you got to keep, and the guy on the book was insisting on doing the pickle. I said, well, you can't do that. It's you got to be 90 degrees.
I never understand that
But
because
it's just they're just from a different like it's
I've run into people who do that, and it's
he's got
like
that.
I think as a Steadicam operator, I can understand wanting to be able to control as much as possible,
Sure.
but it's just too much going on.
You know, completely. So anyway, to make a long story short, it didn't. They didn't get it. And Shelley was in the office, and I came up. I said,
we got a problem.
I think you should just send it home. It's going to kill us. And he said, fine. And he's technically okay. We'll use it for shots that we can do and shots we can't do. I've been lucky that some of the crews here, like Gary Ems and like those guys, they're just brilliant on the crime. And like you come to work and they make you look fantastic. Like,
So
anticipation and.
But when you set it up with the guys who do know, do you basically just go, okay, let's go find one. Now here's a 2. Now here's a 3. And now here's a 4. And then you just connect the dots and
Usually I give them.
do it.
Usually I give them 2 first.
Yeah.
So they got somewhere to go,
Yeah.
and then we go and find a 1, so they get the first bit.
Yeah.
We're doing Fantastic Beasts, which was very complicated because we had to match all the animation, which was already kind of done with all the animals, which are some are huge, some are small,
Gotcha.
so make space for that stuff, and we had to match the the space for the
Sure.
animation that was there.
Yeah.
Being an ex-animator, I get it completely. So I found that comes more and more to the front of. That experience that I can, so glad I did 4 years animation because I get the way they operate. So you really need a cracking crew there to kind of keep all going, to find this frame, go from frame to frame, the actors and stuff with space there.
And then as far as cranes, and I'm asking because cranes to me are one of those things that you can watch someone do it and whatever, but until you start doing it yourself, if you're a B operator and you're suddenly going to A, it's like it's one of those things that's you just gotta learn by doing it, right?
Completely.
And there's so much about. I mean, to me, 90% of it is where you put the post, right?
Yeah, no, completely.
Or that's the thing.
Well, it's geometry.
Yeah, it's geometry, which some people get, some people don't. So for someone who's newer, do you basically? You think it's the better thing is to go, look, here are the frames that we need to. Where do you think the post should go?
Well, the thing, like I just finished a picture in Australia and with Philly Brucelow, who's understandably and justifiably demanding, that for elegance and accuracy and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've never used anyone down there. When I first time there, and these guys have done lots of big pictures. Parts of the Caribbean, they've done all these stuff. But you get down and think, I really want to see how this works.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite demanding about it all, and I'm quite demanding to pay attention and like get involved in this in the shot and see the shot before. I mean, you have to see the shot in your head before you can execute it properly.
Absolutely.
You can't pluck it out of thin air. You have to imagine what the shot must look like, so you can put the camera in real time where that might be.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking these guys, and there was a key grip, which is interesting. We'll talk about in a second, and then the style grip. It was kind of quiet at the beginning, and I was thinking, well, I'm not getting a lot of stuff out of. He's not quite forthcoming.
Yeah.
And then we used it one day, and these 2 guys came out, and they were absolutely brilliant. And I just thought, I remember saying to my wife, she says, "How's it going?" "I'm fine. I'm home." I don't have to worry because these guys were able to. I would say, let's put the post here, and they say, "Oh yeah, that's where we would put it too."
Yeah.
I think, they get it, and they say, if we're gonna, and then I start saying like, if we're going to come here, I want to get there, but we may in our back pocket want to come over there.
Yeah.
So where would you put the post? And he's like, well, I think we'd put it here and they'd make sure it's here. I said, yeah, great. And then you kind of know that they know.
Yeah.
The things that you are anticipating. It's like when you read the grip and they put a dolly in the wrong place, you're stretching over the dolly. You think, if you swing the dolly over that way, so
put the chachi over here so we don't have to do that.
So when you walk, in 5 minutes if a guy's, been around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
well, you just said something really interesting for younger operators that took me a while to figure out in my head. I remember sort of when I figured it out was this is the shot.
Yeah.
But then you know what? I have a feeling they're going to want this.
Yes.
So let's think about that while we're,
Isn't
let's make sure we can achieve
Isn't that
that.
the beauty of the technocrane? You
Yeah,
have that.
absolutely.
So you kind of, why maybe they haven't mentioned that already.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I might suggest that to them.
I bet they're going to.
Yeah. So, but I have to have that, I have to have the mark there. I can't interrupt like and take two. Let's find a three.
Yeah.
I've already got the three,
Yep.
which I've put in my back pocket. Saying, would you do this? And maybe if you came over here, oh, show me that. Let's do that. When we
Yeah.
had dinner. Oh yeah, that's great. Thing. And trying to say, I don't know. Let's move on. That's what we've got. We don't.
Yeah.
Now you're you're designing this all over again.
Yep.
Rather than having it. So those things are from experience.
Sure. Well, that's what I was saying is like, and then you only do that once and then you go, oh, from now on, I got to pre-think that.
Yeah.
But that's so much of what I think good operators do is they're thinking, clearly it's A to B. You have to figure that out. But you're thinking about all the other things. And you know what? I bet that actor's going to overshoot that mark every time.
Or
So
we might come back and find a storytelling thing.
Exactly.
Which, it might be of use. I remember did this thing where this couple walked in and she's really buzzing around. He's kind of just walking around the house and he's looking around. And she's talking. And like, certainly we take her in there. I think, and the static camera thing is, what if we just stay with him, let her walk out of picture and stay with him. We can hear what she's saying. It's just nervous chat. His reactions seems to be much more, he's not listening to her.
The story's over here. Yeah.
So let her go out and use the sound just fading away and the stereo and the thing. And then she'd blow past picture again and she'd get loud and she'd disappear. But he's wandering around the house and every time she comes to he kind of looks at her. When she's out of picture, he's kind of looking around. And he goes, yeah. Absolutely. And I thought, panning around and stuff like that.
You need to see every moment.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's like but the information she's giving us is audio. The real information is the visual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And all, that kind of thing. Like it is a picture you're making.
Yeah. Those are the great moments of storytelling. It's what I think of there. Do you remember the movie Sneakers?
Yeah.
So John Lindley, a friend of mine, shot that, and Doc Carmen was the operator. There's a scene in there. I don't know how you remember the movie, but they bring Robert Redford in, and these two cops are sort of doing good cop, bad cop, and it's all one dolly shot, and it's a very simple, just left to right, push in, pull out, and because of how they blocked it, and John I asked him about it once. He said they took half a day to block it, and it's one shot, and they come in frame, they come out of frame, and it has overs and it has singles and it has push-ins, but the camera doesn't move like crazy. It's mostly the actors moving.
Yes.
And one of my favorite parts is at the very beginning. What's his name? Robert Redford walks in and he walks right to left. And then he leaves out camera left, and you're on the cops, and they're talking, and they're watching, and he obviously goes behind the dolly because he comes back in the other side. But you clearly understand it makes sense, and it's so wonderful because and like you said, you can hear his audio sort of fading back around and coming back in, and
there's another great thing about cinema. It's using all the senses to tell the story, and rather than having to nail everything home. I mean, someone said it's not the stuff that you show them, the stuff that you don't show them.
Well, and I think, what you have to realize as a filmmaker is people's minds fill all these things in.
Yeah.
That aren't really there, but we do all
completely.
that work.
Yeah. Well, Chris Nolan stuff is like thinking, wow, this is highbrow stuff, and I always feel like he's trying to kind of insult you that you don't have a degree in astrophysics to understand it. So just trust me, and I'll tell the story.
Yeah.
I think, well, I did physics, and it doesn't make any sense, and that's not the case. And, and even if it was, you don't know either. Nobody knows, and you can make stuff up, which is fine.
Yeah.
And so the other thing, so the others, they don't understand. So you're not telling the story because they couldn't grasp it anyway. But they still come out with a narrative that they've invented all by themselves.
Sure.
So taking all that away and banging the story home that they can't come out with a narrative that this is the only way you can interpret this.
Yep.
Or it's like a horror movie. What scares you is in your head rather than individual.
Not seeing the shark for most
of
the
Jaws. Yeah, no, totally.
Right?
Or I don't know what's in everyone says, so I can't do the thing that's going to scare everybody because some might find that not scary at all. Some might be terrified. But I don't know what scares them, but I can put them in a space where I can make them scared, and the thing that makes it will just come to the front. And then that's real skill. I always think.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Well, and that's complete manipulation, which at the end of the
Completely,
story,
and so you're not
that's what
showing
this
them
is.
something and letting them make it up all by themselves.
Yeah.
Is like, inviting them to go to a place where they didn't want to go. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
by setting the circumstances or something. For me, that's like great directing, and I've such admiration for directors. I think they're such clever people in every respect, telling the story, using the tools, or not using the tool, and not taking the obvious thing, but doing something very subtle that you only realize later on. You come out of cinema talking about it rather than having an experience, forgetting about it, and like it's like fast food, and then thinking about it. I never had that taste before, or that reminded me of something, and so it lingers for a while.
Yeah.
Because your mind is filling in all the gaps that
Yeah.
the director didn't tell you, but he's provoked you into thinking about it. And
Yeah.
like in the Banshees is like that. People are confused, upset, bewildered. The relationship. But man, people talk about it all the time.
It's a great movie. Do you appreciate doing? I don't know if more is the right word, but do you like doing those kind of movies versus a big effects movie?
I hadn't worked in Ireland for 20 years, and those big effects movies, while they're challenging technically on the Technocrane and getting you're managing things rather than and that's fine. That's your job, and it's multifaceted. It's not just some camera operating. It's 20% of what we do. Operating. Let's assume you come up with a camera.
That might even be too much, but
that's not the job really.
Yeah.
So when Ben offered me Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh is quite famous at home as a playwright, and he's very revered because he's done a lot of plays which are steeped in Irish culture, and they're funny and dark.
Yeah.
And he's multiple award theatre director. He did 3 billboards in Bruce. So Ben said, we're doing this picture in Ireland. He said, in the west of Ireland, a small island called the Aran Islands in autumn. And it's Mark McDonagh, it's Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who I know. And I said, wow, what's the cost? And like the Banshees of Inisherin, I got the script. No visual effects, not very little.
Sure.
It's actors, a script, and a camera.
Yeah, it's drama.
Yeah, it's like a play. I mean, he's a playwright. He writes like that and stuff.
Yeah.
Except it's not all one big wide shot. You got the chance to do close.
Yeah.
And I just jumped at it, And I was taxed to the hilt because I don't pay tax. So I had to pay emergency tax. So 6% of my salary was going in tax.
Wait, why?
Because I don't have any tax references there, because I'm non-resident. So if I do work there, and I've got no tax liability to take off my tax. I could pay with emergency tax.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, so I didn't do.
But you were taking the movie because of the
totally, but
opportunity.
as I said, it just filled my film soul, because it was back to my left foot, where actors were camera.
Just storytelling, right?
Yeah, and emotions, and it was confusing emotions and provocative emotions. People had to think about it or not think about it, got upset or didn't get upset, or bewildered. They weren't bewildered. So everyone was filling in the gaps, the things that weren't said.
Yeah.
The director leaves it open for you to fill it in.
Yeah.
And so that provoked an awful lot of response.
That's wonderful.
And in America, people had a different filling in bit than, say, Irish people had a different filling in bit.
I'm sure, of course.
To British people had a different filling. And I thought, really clever.
That's great.
That's what filmmaking's all about.
Yeah.
I came out of it quite proud, even though it's not technically very, difficult.
But the thing, that said, it shouldn't. It should. I mean, if it had been some technical, Technocrane, this and then the other, it would have been about that, and it wasn't about
but
that, right?
it's like 1917. Like, why did you do this in one shot? Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, like really, a couple of hundred operators and a couple of cameramen.
Yeah.
What? So what?
Yeah.
Does it work as a story? I mean, does it engage you more than otherwise, or are you so wrapped up in the technical thing that you've divorced yourself from?
Did you think that worked?
No.
Really?
I know.
It's funny because people are different ways. I went in watching the movie, and I assumed that I wouldn't be able to enjoy the movie, and I was.
Well, some of it's fantastic.
I fully got into it.
Yeah, and some of it is incredible. I mean, some of the shots are incredible. Pete Cav is
yeah, I actually was just talking to him. No, but I don't mean even the shots. I mean, the story worked for me. Well,
there's one scene,
because I was exhausted by the end of it.
No, me too. Like this kind of trying to get to a destination, like treading in mud all the time and all these obstacles. It was like Ulysses, like Homer's thing. But when he's got his friend and he's dying and the camera's there, and you're thinking, I really want him to hold his hand and be with them, and this static wide shot thinking, oh no, I want to see the life just sliding away, and I want to see this other guy, because that's going to happen within minutes maybe of or whatever. That one moment, and I didn't care about, we're going to break the rule of one shot. I don't care. I really want to be with that guy when he's in, because they were so close, and it was like and then I just thought, really, they're just wrapped up in this thing now.
It's funny because I didn't expect to enjoy it, and I did. But
it's a great movie. I just thought I'm not sure you should link yourself to something technical in the absence of.
No, I fully understand what you're saying. Absolutely.
And that's just me. Other people thought
that's the thing. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, completely. And if I was upright, I would have suggested, I would have been told to shut up and carry on, and I would have done exactly that. But I would have suggested it anyway.
Now. At this point in your career, there have to be situations where you show up and you have more experience than your director of photography. It hasn't happened all that much, to be honest. Is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky that.
Or even the director.
Oh no, director. It hasn't with director.
Okay, so maybe the director, or anybody. I shouldn't say just the director. But what do you do with that when you realize that maybe they're struggling with something? I'm more than happy to jump in there. As I say, if they're saying, if you're you have to be invited in. Do you talk about that first? How do you know when you're invited?
Well, I think you have to make a judgment call, and I think as you get older, you become less worried about your own ego, and I just want to have a nice day. Yeah, in that sense, like simple. And I want to have a nice experience. Like people say, "What's the best movie you ever worked on?" I'm thinking, the best movie ever. How do you mean the best? Define best.
There's 5 different ways.
The box office. Or I met someone that I didn't, or the one I enjoyed the best.
So that said, what's one of the movies that you enjoyed the
most?
Anything
I do with Tim has been because it's
that's got to just be it's got to be a ride the entire time.
Totally, and I'm despairing the day when he says I'm not doing it anymore. So I've lost that lovely. Feeling that walking onto a set with them, and that's just
Well, also you were telling me when we started out that for Beetlejuice, you guys they created a whole town, or they turned a whole town into that, or in Vermont.
That's the original town. They shot the original movie.
Oh, it is okay. All right.
So they had to rebuild a house, and I think the town subsequently went into a lot of disrepair. Like the bridge was. Oh, okay. Rebuild the bridge.
Yeah, but what a great thing to work on a movie where they have the ability to do that, and the vision and the funds, obviously.
Yeah, no, totally.
To create
it's a crazy
spaces,
crazy fun ride.
Is it just a blast to watch Michael Keaton do his thing?
Yeah, well, we were laughing a lot with Danny DeVito, and like he's so funny, and Michael's very funny, and and Jenna Ortega is just incredible.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it was and they were all so fabulous to be around. William Dafoe was great, and it's just so nice to and you're thinking, I don't ever see the reason why someone has to behave badly. There is no reason except insecurity, and that you get some sort of sociopathic joy out of it. Either one of those things are not good.
No, absolutely.
So I don't know that you have to be angst creative person to be seen.
To succeed.
Or soon. I know, I remember my dad who worked in the golf business, and he met a lot of people, and he's quite an academic. And I remember saying to him as a kid, and I was fascinated by the word genius. Like a genius. I remember reading about William J. Sidis had the highest IQ ever recorded, and I remember reading his and thinking, what it must be like to be that kind of polymath, or having all that stuff. What's it like to meet someone like that?
Yeah.
So I said about that. Have I ever met someone? And I remember he put down his book and put down his pipe, and he said, "No, I don't think so." I said, "I've met some very clever people." He said, "Very clever people," but he said, "I don't think I could ever say that they were a genius." And so anyway, subsequently, when I joined the film industry, he thought I'd just run away with the circus. Didn't like it at all, particularly because it's not a real job, and you've no qualifications, and anyone can do it. So what's going to make you stand out ahead of people? And he came on the set, and a couple of times, and different experience. And I said to him, I said, years later, I said to him, remember that time I asked you, that you never met a genius? He goes, yeah. So you should come into the film industry. I'm tripping over them.
They're everywhere. There's no question about it.
I'm tripping over them. Self-proclaimed, a lot of them.
That's excellent. That's fantastic. So you mentioned before that you don't do Steadicam.
No.
So when you're on one of these movies and your B camera operator is a Steadicam operator, and they're doing some big Steadicam shot, I'm assuming that you're watching.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then are you generally going in and going, hey, when you come around this corner and
sometimes. I mean, it depends. I mean, I admire Steadicam because they've an awful lot to handle.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, the framing, timing, the actors, their movement, like the dolly grip on there, and they're doing all that stuff, and they're making decisions instinctively on the day.
Yeah.
It's organic by its nature. So sometimes it works. The timing of something.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you have a good AD who's helping you, wipes and passes, and handing off, then great. But sometimes you don't have that. Sometimes you kind of have to. You don't want to shoot rubber, so you're trying to make everything work, timing of a pass, and you're doing it. And so they've got all that contentment. I always watch the monitor, and if I can see something that can shortcut something, or maybe I'll go and change it. I see that extra. I'll go and change that for him.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'll be like an AD for him.
Sure. Yeah.
Or I say, maybe don't panic. Let him go out and let him come back in again.
Before,
or something like. I mean, I'm not being specific, but
no, I understand.
I watched little things like maybe that on the first take he did something, but he didn't do on the third take. That was pretty good. I said, yeah.
So there's feedback there.
But I don't ever get in his rice ball.
Sure.
And also, for Tim would want me to watch the thing.
Well, but also I think with someone like you, it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of we can make it better. And as a Steadicam operator, I'll say, and you said it very well. It's like I have a thing where when I do a shot, especially a bigger shot, after I'm done, I'll put the rig down and I'll walk backwards through the shot to one. Even if I don't have to, because the reason is as I'm going, I'm usually going, oh, I got to remember to do that, but then I'm on to the next thing and I've forgotten that. So when I walk back through, I'll go, oh, this doorway, I want to do this door, but you can't remember all of it sometimes because there's so much going on.
If it's a walk and talk, there's not an awful lot to they're walking and talking maybe
exactly.
or
what are you
whatever.
Gonna do?
Normally if it gets they tend to, as you'll testify, that they tend to kind of, we can go up the stairs, or can we make this like a one-shot thing? Anything, and then you end up, chopping up to pieces. And what was all that? What was all that for?
Actually, on that note, my favorite thing, and I've talked to a couple people about this, is you're doing some huge shot, some 5-minute shot or whatever, and that story-wise, they're going to cut into this.
Yeah.
And you know it. And you go up and you go, is there a way we could cut this up? Because I can do the first half better in this way, and the second half better if I do this way. But to do the whole, I'm kind of
it's all going
to be one. It's all going to be one. We're only okay, great. So you do it.
And we're over in the 50.
Yeah, and then they go, let's just pick up that middle piece because I think we do. And you think,
And it's so frustrating that, you think, I could have done so much better. I could have executed that more elegantly.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's where I would probably row in behind you, like, listen, he could do more elegantly. The thing for me is with operators.
Well, it's support. You're supporting.
Yeah, because you can get smacked around a lot. If you're a lot of operators and stuff, and you're always at the reason why something hasn't worked. Or like, what the fuck are you doing over there? So like the more cohesive we are as a kind of crew.
Yeah.
The better for me as well.
And
so it's not an altruistic thing, although it has an element of it all. For me, it's almost self-preservation as well. If they're doing a great job, then we're not going to be noticed anymore. They can put their focus on something else.
Yep.
But some directors focus on the operator completely, and no matter what you do, and sometimes it's usually like the C camera or B camera operator, especially if they haven't been working a lot and they come in to do a shot.
Easier target.
Yeah, and it's not the A camera operator, and they start calling them, by your name, and so they don't have the confidence, and they're not really sure about making a decision about it all. Like I always thinking, if I have to make a decision and someone says something to me, I'm thinking, well, no, I'll make my decision. I'd rather get chopped for my decision than for somebody else's.
Yep.
At least I can put my hand up and say, well, that was my idea.
That was my fault. Yeah.
But to execute someone else's idea that you're not really sure about is like, I'm not quite sure where that brings you,
Yeah. So when you start a show with people you haven't worked with, are you nervous still?
A little bit. Yeah, mainly about the grip, probably.
Just what you're going to encounter.
Well, I mean, as I say, I see them as the camera operators. I always say to them, you're not you're not pushing the dolly, you're pushing the camera.
Pushing the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something else with it, but you're you're moving it,
In space. Yeah.
Yeah, in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
So as I am, so we need to, you need to get the only thing that's going to be common to us is the shot in your head.
Uh-huh.
So if you have that in your head, if I can explain that to you in the best possible way,
Yeah.
and if you don't get it, then that's on me that I haven't explained it correctly.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So I have to be careful about the language you use and the explanation. Some people get it immediately, and then some say, oh yeah, no, like Hanny, we're going to come to 2-shot 50-50, and we're going to wrap around over his left shoulder, and then he's going to turn the camera, and then we're going to pull back, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they go, oh yeah, I got it, and
Yeah.
then so and they get it, and they keep a distance, and thinking this guy is got this shot.
Yeah.
And then I feel really comfortable with a dolly grip, and I've had that. A lot. I've had disasters where, particularly here in Britain, all of the dolly grips who were like really experienced and really, they've all moved up to key grip.
Uh-huh.
The problem is that the key grip here is not like an American key grip. They don't flag. They don't they don't have nothing to do with lighting whatsoever.
Oh, really?
No, nothing to do with it. So
who does that?
Electricians.
Oh, electricians do all that.
Yeah, they do all
sure.
that.
Oh,
And so it's a slightly misrepresentation of what that is. So now they become vendors. They have all their gear on board. So they become businessmen. They sit in a box under this guy with loads of experience, who's a great dolly grip, has now got a relative or a friend of his who was doing his garden last week is now pushing the dolly. I find that quite offensive. Like, well, who are you? Oh, I'm somebody. I work for the key grip.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't work for the key grip.
Yeah.
Or they say, let's go. He wants to go over that way. So what are you asking him for?
Oh, they're looking at someone else.
Yeah, the key grip.
I'm right here. Talk
So
to me.
they developed this kind of kingdom where now they have, within the structure of it all, they have their own little structure.
Oh, I had no idea.
And they're not responsible to the operator anymore.
Yeah.
I find that incomprehensible, unacceptable.
Well, because you want that to be.
I'm responsible for this, and these guys are not playing
well,
ball.
you want the dolly grip and the camera operator and the first AC to be a trio.
So
right?
you have all these guys who are massively experienced, have now moved into kind of executive roles of key gripping.
Gotcha.
And so American DPs find that kind of weird. Like,
Yeah.
well, what's he do? I don't know what he does. He's on the phone, or he's he's abdicating responsibility. And then you get into a technical line where you require a kind of
and they can't
symbiotic,
pull it off.
yeah, and it's falling apart, and then
Yeah.
and all the director sees is you.
Yeah, of course.
They don't see the things you're having to deal with, and
Yeah.
then you can't fire them because there's nobody else, and then you're thinking, we can't do that shot, or we
And you've got to change what your
and so you
expectations
mean so you can't do this shot?
Yeah.
No, I can do it. I don't have. I'm only as good as I'm allowed to be by these two guys.
Yeah.
So that for me is always a concern when I go to another country.
Sure.
Always a
Yeah,
concern.
that makes sense. That makes sense. What about what do you do during rehearsals?
Yeah. What I do is I don't do much for the first rehearsal. I don't kind of walk in there.
Just listen.
Yeah. Find a place to watch it. You
Yeah.
know? And then, if it's happening, I say, well, I'm in the wrong place. Clearly, I'm in the wrong place here. And I start wandering slowly around to where I think a master might play. So not that we're going to do a master, but this is where most information lies.
Getting a plan of some
People
sort.
walk up to camera, turning, and the
Sure.
windows are there. There's a big wall here. It's a nicer background, and so like this background is actors facing us, information. So this ticks 4 of the 6 boxes and stuff. So and I kind of wonder. And the director's probably sometimes there, sometimes he's not. He's just sitting on a stool.
Yeah.
That the props brought in, they put it down, and he's just sat there because that's what the stool was.
Yeah.
And sometimes if they're like very experienced directors, they'll be where they want to put the camera.
Yeah.
And so I'll try and make my way over there, or I'll stand behind them or something. The DP's there. If the DP stands somewhere, I'll stand there somewhere, and then I'll watch that and think, yeah, this is really good. And then so this is good. And then let's do one more time. Then I'll go to a place where I will be counterintuitive to me to go to.
Just to see if you've missed something.
Yeah, it doesn't offer anything because, I'm very well aware that, I can be quite linear sometimes or maybe not.
Yeah.
So I go to a place where I wouldn't have normally.
That's smart.
Just to see what Is there anything here that might be?
And then,
of
are you
interest?
also thinking about what the cut might be and what pieces? you're gonna
Totally,
use?
and what background we're going to use,
Yeah.
and how we're going to cheat the background, and how efficient maybe we can make this thing. Maybe like handing off something, like if I put a piece of railing, can I use it for one piece, or can I
Shots
use it
or
for
what-
whatever,
yeah, Yeah, yeah.
And I like thinking myself that I'm very, very good spatially. I can see those. That may not be the coverage, but at least I have something to offer
You
if
got a
I'm
plan,
asked.
right.
If I'm asked.
Yeah, yeah.
Like some directors have already worked out, and I'm there to execute it, and I'm totally happy with that.
Yep.
I feel safe, and I can execute this elegantly because he has the next 4 shots, and it all makes sense to me, and it's a lovely day.
Yeah.
Execute it well. The guys, everyone knows, and so a director's seeing that's not working because the dollar grip's not hitting his mark or focus, and so you're safe.
Yeah.
But in those cases, I like to have something that I can offer them if I'm asked. And so how's this going to work with it? Well, then from here we get that piece of information. Oh yeah, and maybe we could top and tail it maybe when they exit, and then we can at the end of it we can just come here and let them work. Oh, I like that. That's sufficient.
Just
we
so
get
you're adding
a
something
big
to the
chunk
pot.
of it like in
Yeah.
one take maybe,
Yeah,
and then we
yeah,
can
yeah.
chop it off, and then suddenly you're 3 hours ahead of schedule.
And then 3 hours ahead of schedule, it segues me into what I was going to ask you next. And then at some point, are you sort of taking the AD aside and say, hey, this is what I think we're probably going to see? And are you seeing something else so you can sort of make sure that you're on the same page?
It depends on the AD,
Sure.
how effective they are. If they're
Yeah.
a lot of them are just producers, people on the floor.
Yes, but assuming they're a good AD.
Yeah, let's assume that they're
Yeah.
great ADs, and they say, okay, so we're doing the master first,
Yeah.
and we're looking this way.
Yeah.
Say, well, what's your agent friend? Okay, so I have the finder on. When I'm looking at the finder, I always make a note of
Left
before
and
the
right.
camera comes in, because everyone asks you before the camera comes in.
Yep.
Where's your radio frame? So I always have those in my.
Well, also, I don't know if it's here, but my thing is always you sort of watch that frame, and it first of all, Don Devine, who we were talking about before, has this thing, and I asked him once what the hardest thing about being an 8-camera operator, and he goes, "Oh, going to the bathroom," because I'll watch it and everything's fine, then I'll go to the bathroom, and literally I'll go in and I'll come back in 2 seconds later, and everything's changed. And I don't know what's going on, but there is that thing of like the lights are coming lower and the boom is,
I love his sense of
Don's
humor.
fantastic. He's the driest person.
Oh
in the
no,
world.
he's great. I mean, I did a picture with him with Shelley in
With
Morocco.
Charlotte, sure.
Yeah,
That's what I figured.
and he's so lovely, so gracious.
He's a great operator.
Oh
too.
my
He's
God,
he
yeah.
knows so much.
And you're kind of thinking, if it was a young operator, you'd be aspiring to be like Don. He's so unflappable, calm. It's like he oozes the kind of lovely.
Well, the thing about Don that I find is like you just calm down when you're around him.
Yeah,
Because he's so.
but isn't that
he's so mellow and-
I like to think that's what I'd love to be in another 20 years.
Yeah, but that always cracked me up because he didn't even blink. He was like going to the bathroom. That's the hardest thing because you can't leave the set. But you watch the gaffers constantly pulling the lights a little closer, and then then of course the grips want to come in and put, at least in the United States, they want to put a flag in there. You're like, no, you can't. You got to keep that out of there. That's where my frame was. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also, if you're not there, people will encroach and do something
Because
to make
everybody's
their
trying
life
to do their job.
Well, they just make their life easier.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're not there, they think, well, he hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
So they put the stand in. I haven't heard any.
Yep.
Then they add something to that flag, and then suddenly there's like an entire village of stuff. Well, what's it? And you come back from the bathroom. What's this? Oh, no one said anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's one of the things that when I've worked with B camera operators who are newer, I always say to them is, look, I know you're new and you're not, but you've got to push back. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just that you can't let them come in and adjust your frame because then the DP comes in and goes, this isn't the frame I gave you. Because your job is to
and you're
protect
trying to
that frame.
accommodate someone.
Exactly. You're trying to
but
be
they're
nice
quite willing
and-
to drop you in the.
Yeah, and and I said to him, look, what you do is you go, look, I'm so sorry because I know you're going to have to rig that differently, but I can't let you in. I have to hold that. That's what I was doing.
But also, you do rehearsal, as you know, and then and you say you make the parameters too fine. And you're not allowing the director to do anything else except what happened in that
You
rehearsal.
want to give them the space.
Yeah, so then they come in their costumes maybe, and they're further apart because she's got a big dress on or whatever it might be.
Someone's got a big hat.
Yeah, someone's got a big hat on. I think, we need to be slightly wider, and suddenly you get all every lamp and stuff and frame. With good TV, it's like that might be very tight. If he decides to go over there.
I need a little more space.
Yeah,
there.
you know, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't do that in rehearsal. Well, I know, but I mean, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, or the other.
Even if you say it and then he says, well, no, let's see what happens, and then you flagged it already. It's not like you haven't anticipated.
At least you sort of put your foot in that door a little bit.
Yeah.
But the other thing is also, and I'm sure you've had this, is you'll watch something and you go, I know that's what he did, but I've been working with this actor for 6 months now, and he's going to walk over to that window. I'm just telling you, he's going to walk over to the window, and you know it. And sometimes you do read that. And you know, on that note, if you've working with stand-ins, to me, they're, I don't know, but I always feel like they're the good stand-ins anyway. Are the unsung heroes.
Yeah, no,
because
for us, absolutely. And I have to say, American stand-ins, when they're professionals, they're like gold dust.
Well, the reason I thought of it is there's one in particular who had been, I won't even say who, but he'd been with this actor for a long time. You know, they had those things. And the first time I worked with him, he said, listen, I just want to tell you, I'm going to show you what he did, which is he picked up the phone and then he stood up. I'm also going to tell you, he's going to stand up and pick up the phone. So I'm going to show you both, but I just want to let you know.
Fantastic.
And sure enough,
yeah,
he did that.
Well, yeah, I always say to camera assistants and stuff, you know, we do rehearsal. We mark the artists, and I said, you know, there's a time there's two times I need a rehearsal with. When I've got to find her, that we mark the artists. Yeah. Even if it changes, at least I've got a structure. Yeah. And I need all the stand-ins to watch. Like, they just get people, some of them not even the same height, which is everything for us, same physical height, especially if you're anamorphic. Mm-hmm. You know, suddenly you got like, you know, you find me up and they come in and like, oh, well, I guess I need to come wider or something, or I can go, whatever. So, you know, anticipating that. And so that's the time, that's kind of my time. So we mark the artists, and then you say to stand-ins, you know, I always talk to them before a picture. So here's what you do. Yeah. I need your help. Yeah. I can't remember what every actor does at any one time because I'm, you know, I'm not that bright. Yeah. You know, and I can't take it all in. So I need your help. I need you to help me watch your actor, what they do, watch everything, what shoulder they turn over, when they sit down, where they go to, how they stand, and if you can, if you remember where other people are in relation to you, you can help them remember. Yep. So you watch each other.
Check each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so and make it your own and enjoy the day rather than just standing there, you know, like a mannequin that I'm moving around. Really get involved. And, you know, I don't need the dialogue, but I do need, you know, the kind of speed they walk at maybe perhaps, and when they sit and how they sit, what angle their body's at. And then I tell them about opening up the camera, closing the camera. I give them all those, moving to your left and right. I'll be giving you those instructions from you, not from camera.
So you're saying like on day one, you sort of take them aside, give them this little.
Here's the language.
Right. Yeah.
Move to your right. Move to your left. Yeah. Open, close the camera. You know, whatever.
So set it up.
If they're new stand-ins, and often you'll have a couple of stand-ins who are much more experienced than I. Get them to be like the captain of the team.
Can you lead this?
Yeah, make sure that they pay attention and stuff. So when I get them, I'm always hoping that I have one or two.
At least someone in there.
Yeah, and gets them into shape.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, my litmus test is if I look at the stand-ins on the first rehearsal, and I see that there are a couple with their sides who are making notes. Yeah, I always think that's okay. You're because you know how there's some. Not everybody does it, but there are a couple because they'll like on a line. He sat down. You know, I don't know what they're writing, but I'm assuming. And then they'll have like they'll be able to look and they'll go, he sat down on this line, and there's a couple of people that I've worked with like that. And I go, that's someone who I'm going to be fine with this. I don't have to think about you because you're always going to be on it.
And the other great thing about having an actor who's on stand-in is that when you form a relationship with them and you're both wanting to make the actor look good.
Absolutely.
So you're like, when you both realize that that's our common purpose.
Yeah, and then you can also go, by the way, hey, can you do me a favor? I've got 12 things. When he comes in, can you just remind him that he pulled the chair up?
Or you might say, like, you know, I know he did it, but what do you think? Would it be a good idea if he went and...
Would he do this?
What do you think about it? He goes,
I'll know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good... I think he might like that.
Yeah.
So do you want to suggest that to him? And so it's, you know...
Yeah.
So he goes, oh, you won't... Yeah, what's your idea? So no, you suggest it to him because, you know, like...
Well, it also invests something in them. It gives them
and so then they kind of think, well, we have a thing going here with this guy. And, you know, and he said, and then he might say to me, "Listen, I know he's gonna, but do you think could you accommodate him coming?" Yeah. I'll move these extras here and do that. Is that okay? I said, you know, DP's fine with it. I'm fine with it.
And the other part of that, which is always like, you know, you're on the other side of a desk and you've tweaked things to work and this and that and the other, and then Stanley will go, look, I know what you're doing here, but I'm just telling you, I can't get into the chair.
Yeah.
I have to pull it back, and which of course is something I don't know, because I'm 6 feet back, and oh really, we kind of screwed you there. Okay, so let's push this around. But that's the best thing, because the last thing you want is some actor to come in and then they go, what happened here? Because I sat down and now I can't even get my legs in here.
Yeah.
But so it's even simple stuff like
No,
that.
it's a real purpose. And also, when they come in, let's say it's a very big name, like De Niro
Cruise or
whatever,
yeah.
and there's a little bit of intimidation there.
Sure.
And you have this guy saying, "So, Tom, you start in, and the camera's going, okay, where's the camera at this point? The camera's going to be there."
Yeah.
And then he's saying, "Okay, great." Like you take that from the stand.
Yeah, they're the buffer.
Yeah, kind of, and then until you kind of get sometimes they might start talking to you. Oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
So it's conversation.
And the truth is, usually with those guys, it is someone who's been with them for 6 years. Or whatever.
I mean, and like they're comfortable with that, and that's fine. Whatever makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
I think once, as we talked before, once they kind of understand that you're not there to make sexy camera shots. I'm there to make the story applicable
And
to
make them look good. And
and
make it work.
the camera is going to do what is appropriate rather than what. Like little weak, how did it do that shot? You're saying, great. Is there a TV show says, why did it do that shot?
Yeah.
Like just because you can do it doesn't mean you have to do it.
That's fantastic.
Sometimes it's just don't move the camera. Like back to the static thing.
Yeah.
And it has such power now.
You wanted to tell me something about static shots.
I can't remember what it was. But it's like remaining static while something's happening. The camera's not a player anymore.
No.
You're observing it, totally objectively rather than subjectively. And sometimes I think that has such a powerful place to be.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm not part like zone of interest,
Uh-huh.
where the camera's like locked in place. There's no camera at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frightening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it looks like voyeuristic almost.
Well, and I think the other part of it, and that's a great movie of it, is you have to, like, it's forcing you to look at it. You're not panning around, or you're not.
But you're seeing everybody,
Yeah, you're still seeing
dialogue
everything,
and
but
reaction all at the same time.
You're being held in that case. On the flip side of that, one of the things that always drives me nuts is, hey, let's go handheld. We'll really put some tension into the scene. And I always think,
So if it's not written.
I can make it look wacky, but
it's not going to add tension.
It's got to be in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's not written on the page, and
I can augment it, but I can't.
Like it's like ordering a pizza. It's just no tension. Why are we putting? And I want olives and something. That's threatening.
Yeah.
If you mention onions, shake the camera.
Give it a little more shake on the olives.
But also, I love I love Spielberg and Zemeckis' way of using the camera, handing off. They're very elegant, and it's very clever. Like Munich's beautifully very clever. Private Ryan. It's very clever use of the moving camera.
Well, Spielberg's thing is also blocking. I mean,
yeah,
he knows how to block.
I know. I was going to say with static camera.
Yeah.
Every time there's an innovation in cinema, silent camera. You could run around with it, and it's fine. Then they brought in sound. Oh, you got to lock the camera.
It's going to sit here.
Yeah, because sound. Oh, really? Yeah. If you want sound, you get camera's got to be static. Okay, great. So we solved that problem with the polytones, cable, and this thing. Color. You got color, but you can't move the camera. Every innovation was like, you got to keep the camera static.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of, we want to invent ways of moving it. So we came up when we solved that problem.
Yep.
Then visual effects.
I was going to say VFX.
Yeah, you can do that, but you can't move the camera.
Well, and also remember VFX, it was like, all right, nobody walk.
But just locked off camera so we can.
Nobody move.
Yeah. So every innovation that happened required the camera to be static.
Oh, that's interesting.
We've been finding ways to get around that all the time.
And now we can move it again.
And now we can do whatever we like.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to do it.
That's exactly.
But like I think Spielberg uses it beautifully. He uses where it's necessary, and I think that clever use of the language and tool.
But it's because
they
it's
know
telling
their
the
stuff.
story, right?
Completely, and then it's appropriate, and it's like it's dramatic and it's punchy and stuff. And then when the camera doesn't move, that's equally punchy and
Well,
the music, the quiet bits are important as.
On that note, with younger operators, one of my pet peeves is I always say, look, just because you're on a slider doesn't mean you have to move.
In fact, don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great to if you think you're going to have to be over a couple inches, all right, put it there. Just leave it there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be sliding all over the place.
Yeah, but also even just kind of if someone's walking around, you kind of this constant adjusting to
Let
the
it play.
headroom. No,
Yeah.
just come a little wider if you have to.
Yeah.
Don't make the camera, a part of this,
Yeah. Yeah.
because somehow I find it really distracting sometimes, and I know, like it's. I remember watching a film that a really well-known actor was in, and he invited me to watch it, and I went and there were so many technical things, like somebody saying they pull focus and they cut in the middle of a focus pull, those kind of things. Why was he pulling to the background anyway? Just let them walk.
Just let it go.
Yeah. Or someone's leaving frame, they kind of pull them to the last minute.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, just let them go.
Walk out.
Because the background's got this huge amount, and you're getting more and more background as he's leaving frame, and it's all this. Don't do that. I mean, they're kind of
But it
simple
took
things.
you out of the movie, obviously. These
Yeah, but
moments.
it was every other shot that we're doing it in.
Wow.
I'm thinking,
Interesting.
what was the operator? Or was the DP in this?
Did you ever meet Terrence Nightingale?
No.
Okay, he hasn't been here for a while. He's in the States, but he started out here on like Aliens and Princess Bride, and he's a clapper loader and his father was Ken Nightingale. I think Ken, who was the boom operator in the pink shorts on Star Wars. He has that famous picture.
Okay.
But the reason I bring it up is because I started ER when I was 26, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was still figuring it out. And Terrence had
Were you operating at 26?
Yeah. I was
yeah.
a camera operator. It was the only camera on, and biggest show on TV. I mean, it was a gift.
You're 26. That's
and I
very young.
by the way, knock on wood, I just didn't screw it up. But Terrence was instrumental in the fact that in me learning more. And I remember once, after about a week or two, when I sort of was, I was getting a little used to it, and I don't remember what it was. Someone walked across the frame, and I sort of panned left with a little. And he came over and he goes, "Hey," and I said, "What?" And he goes, "You don't have to move the camera constantly." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Just let him walk."
Yeah.
And I was like, Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. And I said, "Oh," and he goes, "Just leave it there. Let it."
Did you have that moment when the penny dropped about the things that were more elegant by doing nothing sometimes?
Yeah.
Well, feeling you have to kind of it's like a painter, and you can keep fucking painting. Stop.
You don't know when you're done.
You've gone past the point.
But to that note, one of the things that Don and I have talked about is
I'm not equating us to being painters, but
but one of the things that Don Devine and I have talked about is, and I find this to be more often. I'll start with, especially Steadicam, which has so many 3-dimensional and this and that and the other. But any shot, you start with something, and then as you refine it, invariably, in my experience, it gets simpler and simpler, and the simpler it gets, the better it is telling the story. 9 times out of 10.
That's why keep it simple.
The simpler you can make
it's
it.
like in physics, it gets complicated all by itself. It's desire for simplicity that's elegance.
Yeah.
I always go simplicity with elegance. The more complicated you get, the more fussy it becomes. The less you see the detail, because it's just too much
There's
going
something
on.
else going on.
Yeah. And then you see one thing.
Yeah.
Is one leaf more interesting than an entire tree? If you want to study leaves, yes, one leaf is much more interesting.
Yeah. But it's about the tree.
Yeah. So keep it simple, and often the rewards are great.
Yeah.
And that includes camera movement, stuff like that.
And I find a lot of that has to do with it's back to where the base of the crane is so important.
Yeah.
If the camera is in the right place, a lot of times you don't have to do a lot.
No.
And sometimes the reason you have to do a lot is because there's a better place for the camera to be.
And the other thing is you might come up with a shot that this is good. It's a little complicated, and the actors have to do certain things.
Uh-huh.
Unless you get the director invested in that, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
So and if it's not a director who's particularly visual, technically, I wouldn't go down that road.
So keep it simple.
Yeah, because you
you
need the director to get the actors to do something, and if you start doing that, then you're kind of certainly in his rice bowl about even if it's technical, and they're trying to do performance, and you're just talking about marks and turning and stuff like that, and they go, I forgot, I turn my left shoulder and think this is getting too complicated like that.
And suddenly it's, why are you making us do this?
Yeah, like what? Just bring the camera here and static here.
Yep.
So you got to be careful not to. And that's an ego thing about the camera now has become
It's about the shot.
Yeah, the bigger thing rather than performance, and you have to be very careful about it. Even if it in your head it's going to work, it's probably not suitable for the story, and B, it's very hard to execute, and also you're gonna separate yourself from what the director
Yeah.
had entirely wanted, and you've
Yeah.
sold them this thing that didn't work.
Yeah.
Not because of anything efforts, but it required too many moving parts.
Yeah, it's just too. It's well, again, it's becoming about the shot. It's not about the story.
Completely.
That's what it's
And
about.
so, like, there's more one way to skin a cat. There's no one shot that is,
That's exactly right.
Yeah, like that's why you got so many different filmmakers, and they
Yeah.
have different opinions about it. And like I did a thing with Gordon Willis.
Oh wow. Really?
Yeah, I was in second on a thing called Devil's Own, and he didn't even the pee because he didn't want to walk around it. We had an Alamac,
Okay.
so because he too lazy to walk around the
Yeah.
thing, and the camera was locked off.
Uh huh.
And if the actor did his mark and you were chopping his head off, you never tilted up, or if he's too far back and there's too much headroom, no stuff.
You let
You
it
got to
play.
come and hit your mark.
Okay. So you never helped them out. They had to.
No, you just keep.
Well, also back
you wouldn't
then-
even like you even was like 10-minute take. You were with the
Yeah.
the camera
Well,
chopping
and
his ass.
he wanted them in their light.
Yeah, and if you tilt it up and you go, what are you doing? You're tilting up.
Yeah.
No, don't move the camera.
Okay.
So like there's that simplicity and but that's fine. So they do all the work, and if they don't, he did his mark, then he's got to go tell the actor.
Got to do it again.
Yeah, and so it's a complicated shot if the director's invested in it and he knows how to execute it all, and then you're collaborating and you're trying to eloquently and efficiently get that shot. That's quite exciting as well, because now he's in it with you and he's getting the actor to do something for camera.
Yep.
Like you've often been there and something. I see that, Des. I'll fix that for you. And they run out and they change something. You think, oh, great. And say, nope, yeah, that's great. That extra the background. So they're watching it from your point of view that you're now definitely on the same page because you know what the end result is.
Yeah.
And everyone's working towards the end result on there. The camera says, people say, well, I'll move that light because it's going to be great. And I'll turn off that and get it out of the way. And is that great? That's right. And then suddenly 3 takes are done and you're moving on. That was great. Let's move over here. And so now you're really, earning
And you're on the same team. That's fantastic. Well, this has been amazing. You have so much great information. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful just sitting and talking with you.
Likewise.
I'm going to leave you with my final question that I leave everybody with. Advice for people starting out in this business on how to succeed, or maybe something you wish you knew back in the day that you've learned.
Yeah. Well, good question. I think probably. Listen more than talk, probably, and whatever you're doing, know your craft. Really don't go anywhere until you think you really know your craft well, because learn your craft and understand everyone else's craft as well. And I think that's really important, and not kind of get in there and think that you can do something, because you'll get caught out. Like I see young operators and they do something and then it's simple stuff, and then they come and they meet, as we're just agreeing, it's 10%, 15%, 20% operating the camera. The rest of it is dealing with human beings, and you're one of those, and all that stuff that goes with that, the diplomacy, the kind of irrational behavior, the illogical thoughts, and not approaching things the right way. You have to learn to do all that too. And now I'm not saying that I'm there. I'm not. But I think film school has kind of brought out a whole bunch of people who come out with a certain level of entitlement about something. and camera operating is the one area that you cannot teach in college. It really is a doing thing. And being around other operators and seeing how they solve problems is how I learned. And I still not convinced you can learn that any other way. DP, probably if you've got some innate talent, that can be, with a good gaffer and an operator and director, you can be nurtured, and by the time you do your 4th picture, you're well up there. Directing is something you can do from another discipline, from editing, maybe from theater directing, maybe in actors. But there's a talent there somewhere, and you surround yourself by good people, and then you'll be fine. As an operator, I don't know you can do that. You can't walk into an A-camera situation, I don't think, without 10 years experience. I just don't know how you might get away with it in something, but you won't be comfortable in every situation. So I think learning your craft and really understanding what it is your job is, and then recognizing in any given situation, how do I fit in here? What can I do? Am I invited to participate? or am I just executing things elegantly and efficiently? Both of those things are very agreeable to me, and I think you have to, and somewhere in the middle of those two things, you can find a place to live. And then it's finding that, I think it's really...
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.